This feels like a horror movie. What if we're not hunting at all, but instead we're about to die? By that spider. Not today. I just heard a deer bust my dad. He's in a blind about 150 to 200 yards behind me. But my dad must have farted too loud or something, because I heard him just snort. We're out here an hour and 15 minutes before first light. Hunting has begun. I always gotta sit and wait.
Okay, so this is when things get interesting, folks. So at this point, I know I'm not going to take this doe. So she starts to head off into these trees right here with the fawn following close behind. I then start to feel something in my hand, and I reach down, and I look down, and I see that my release is in two pieces. The support pin in the clamp somehow fell out. And so at this point, I'm in crisis mode. You don't see it because you see the top of my head, but I'm freaking out. I'm starting to think, okay, can I MacGyver this thing? How can I get this back into functioning order without this pin? I just, at this point, I just can't believe this is happening. First day out in the woods. As I'm thinking this, the doe comes back around and is now directly in front of me at 35 yards. I think she started to see my movement, smell me or something, but then this happens. The trigger that came apart falls, hits the blind, and the doe is not having it. She's stomping her foot. She knows something is wrong. And see ya. After all of this happened, I remember just sitting there and thinking, okay, I can't let this ruin my day. So I get a couple of practice draws in with my fingers, and I haven't practiced shooting this bow with a finger release in quite a while, so I already know I'm not going to be confident with it. I make the decision that if any deer comes within 15 to 20 yards, I will assess the situation, the position of the deer, and my own confidence level, and if everything feels 100%, I'll take the shot. About an hour later, I look to my left, and I see a big doe standing broadside at 40 yards, just staring at me. after watching how she was locked in on me the entire time, I knew something was not right. So I checked the wind, and sure enough, it was blowing southwest right into her nose. "50 minutes later, I notice a flock of turkeys coming from a field that is directly behind the trees that you're looking at now. And then I saw a ton of movement to my very far left. I tried a couple grunts to see if any of the does would come in closer, but they ended up just calmly walking off into the thicket.
What a morning. So I'm sure I already told you guys through the voiceover. I've used this release for about 7 years, and the crazy thing, I mean guys, this is nuts. I'm gonna walk you through what was going through my head. At first light this morning, I'm holding my release now for those of you who aren't bow hunters. Without this release, unless you've trained with shooting your bow traditional way with 2 fingers, or 3 depending on how you shoot, unless you've trained that way with your bow, it's really hard to pull off an accurate shot. So I've been practicing with my release, which is a trigger. So I was sitting here this morning thinking, man, I've had this release for 7-8 years now. I should have a backup release just in case. Like if this thing were to break, like I'm thinking this, guys, this morning, I'm like, if this thing were to break, I'd probably be screwed. 20 minutes later, that first doe with her fawn comes in. And I know immediately I'm not gonna take it. It's not the size of doe that I want. I'm holding the release, and then all of a sudden, I feel it just come apart in my hands. And I'm like, no, this cannot be real. And I look down, and my release is in pieces. It's in freaking pieces. 20 minutes earlier, I'm thinking, man, I should probably have a backup release. What the frick, dude? The fact that I was thinking about that and then 20 minutes later it happened. It's crazy. I'm thankful that it happened on day 1. I would have probably been able to take a shot today if my release wouldn't have broken. There was a couple of doe that came in with that herd, and earlier before that herd came in, I would have tried to take in a shot. Oh my god. Well guys, it was an exciting day. Saw a lot of great deer. Folks, learn from me. Always have a backup release. Always. It's a lot more windy today. Yesterday it was about 4 miles per hour. Today it's gonna peak at 18. I brought some deer piss with me. Why, Jen? to smell this time instead of me.
I got to watch this 6-point buck for over 40 minutes, and I knew right when I saw him I was going to pass up on him. Even though the deer don't get that big in our area, I wanted just to wait it out. It was still early in the hunt, so he ended up just walking off to my right. Only 30 minutes later, this deer snuck up on my right. And when I finally saw him, I thought this was the 6-point buck that just looped its way back around to me. It wasn't until I sat here at my computer and got a closer look that I found out that no, this is not the same deer. He's actually a little bit smaller, and when you zoom in here, you'll see that he actually is missing a brow tine. So this guy is a new deer. Thanks everyone for joining me on part 1 of 3 of this episode. Day 1 was one heck of a way to start off the season, but I can only be thankful. At the end of the day, I'm just happy to be out in the woods. In part 2, I'll let my first arrow fly.